Hello and welcome back. A video, back to back. Okay, I've had a question. I had a couple of questions actually about my splitter. We packed that away last night. Just had a little sprinkling of snow this morning. So I just want to go a bit more in depth into this because it was said it looked very big. It is very long. It's huge. So the questions I have. Okay, is the piston adjustable? Yes, the piston is adjustable. This is my trigger, so this is my stop. I can adjust that up and down. As you can see, it's actually adjusted just past my longest length mark. And there's my next length down mark. And the reason for that is you don't want to waste time with the piston going all the way back and then coming all the way out. And likewise, it has a flick off, which is adjustable at this end, which means before it crashes into there, or for another reason, you can adjust this. And as you can see, it was originally designed to go on a 3-pin, and then this hydraulic motor has been bolted onto the back, which means you can run it from 3-phase. So you can run this direct from a tractor, or you can run it from the electrics, and there's no benefit to me in the yard running it from a tractor, and I don't have a tractor with a 3-pin on the back in any case. Now, how long can it cut? Well, you can see the piston, it's got a really long piston. So the overall piston length on this, the body of the piston length from that point there to the end of the point there is 3 foot. I'm doing this one-handed again. 3 foot 11. Now the possible length with that fully retracted to my cutting blade, you could split longer potentially, but I've got a 4 foot gap minus the head of 4 inches. So 3 foot 8 inches. So you can split up to 3 foot 8 inches. What's 3 foot 8 inches? 110 millimetre, there or thereabouts. So can you, the question being is, use it to split fence rails? Well, that's going to depend on how long you want your fence rails. So I would say it wasn't long enough. Can you get a longer piston? If you see how it's made on an I-beam. The ends have been closed in. Piston's hinged at this end. And bolted and welded at that end. Let's go around the other side. So what I've noticed, if you get a really hard knotty piece and it gets jammed down there and this is fully extended, it does bend. It does bend. But how the amount of reach depends on the length of the piston. So you can, of course, you can get a longer piston. Of course, you could get a longer I-beam. Of course, you could make one. And of course, it could potentially split 5-6 foot fence rails. However, and I don't know about splitting fence rails other than that traditionally it was done with wedges. But I do know normally it's done out of cedar. And I do know about cedar. And here's the thing about cedar. And Dave, I don't want to teach you to suck eggs. Cedar has a slight twist in it. It's just the way it grows. So when you're splitting fence rails, you have to do it when it's green. If you're doing quarter rails, So you'd split the log in half and then in quarters. Would it split down the length if the pressure from splitting would only come at one end, or would it twist off? I don't know. I don't know. There must be a way of making them commercially. Most of the old post and rail fences were obviously made by hand and made as they went through the forest. Or if you're using it for cattle fencing or whatever. But they must make them commercially, and if they make them commercially, they must split them commercially too. I don't know whether you would use a long blade to split in half and then in quarters, and that would stop the winding off at one end if it was twisted. And does the twist run all the way up the tree? No, not always. No, not always at all. I don't know. Anyway, the overall size from one end to the other of the whole machine, I don't know if that's relevant. Anyway, it's 12.5 feet. The actual I-beam itself is 8'10". So yeah, if you could get a longer piston on the longer I-beam, you could probably make up exactly what you wanted. How successful that would be splitting down 5 foot or 4 foot rails, I don't know. I've never split cedar in a length like that. Sawn, yeah, no problem at all, but split, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that should be the answer. Whilst I'm here, it's got this wire goes all around. That's a safety wire, so that at any point you can kick it, touch it, pull it, and what that wire is connected to is this, which releases the pressure on the piston. So if you get into trouble and anywhere, as a safety measure, you pull on this wire and it lifts that. You push that and the piston runs one way. This slides down and kicks that up, and then the piston automatically withdraws. I wonder if I should, let me plug it in. Right, I've plugged it in now, so we can see how it works. And then if you was to undo this nut here and slide it all the way to the bottom, that piston would completely withdraw, which means you can split lengths up to 1 metre. Of course, I'm not quite sure why you'd want to do that unless you had, you know, an industrial boiler that take metre lengths. Ours takes 70 millimetres. Constantly converting, I am. So we cut 2 foot 4 inches. That's my mark there. But you could quite clearly see you could cut a lot more. Well, I've had to adapt the pin a number of times. This is the second valve I've put on this in 5 years, because the first one snapped inside. Otherwise it's quite good. I got a little seek there around the ring. It's only a small one, but at some point I'm going to have to replace the O-rings. There we are, that's that. I hope that was a bit more helpful. Now, is there a, not that it'd mean anything because they're probably made here, I don't think there's even, I've ever seen a maker's mark on this. Is it the best splitter in the world? I don't know how you rank splitters. It does what it needs to do. Do I need a 4-way on here? Sometimes, but not often. The wood that we cut is just not big enough. Sometimes you could do with a 4-way, but I've never bothered making one because it's only every now and again. Anyway, he shoved his ball under the pallet there because it's like one of his own little games. If I ignore him, he shoves his ball where he can't get it. And then after about 10 minutes of trying, anyway, that's that. Hope that was useful. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.